Have you ever wondered why, in every generation, true wisdom and genuine integrity seem so rarely rewarded by those in power? Why do the loudest voices, often filled with certainty but little real insight, rise to the top while those who think deeply and ethically stay sidelined? Is this a failing of the system, or is the system simply functioning exactly as it was built to? To answer this, we need to face an unsettling reality. Power doesn't always belong to the most capable or the most principled. Instead, it often accumulates in the hands of those who are best adapted to the harsh, unforgiving game of influence. This game is less about truth and more about perception. It's less about wisdom and more about the ability to command attention. At the heart of this paradox lies a truth that few want to admit. The qualities that make a person truly wise and morally grounded often become liabilities in the ruthless pursuit of authority. The more a person questions, hesitates, or considers complexity, the less likely they are to be seen as decisive leaders. Meanwhile, those who speak with boldness, regardless of their actual knowledge, often seize the reins of power simply because their confidence fills the void of uncertainty. Modern psychology has illuminated why this happens. Studies reveal that, beyond a certain point, higher intelligence does not guarantee leadership success. In fact, individuals with very high intellect often struggle to communicate clearly or inspire confidence. Their nuanced thinking can alienate others who crave certainty and simple answers. Meanwhile, individuals with moderate or even limited skills but high self-assurance tend to overestimate their abilities and are perceived as more competent. This disconnect between confidence and competence distorts the political and social landscape. Overconfidence becomes a kind of currency. It grants access to platforms and positions regardless of substance. In a world saturated with quick sound bites and viral moments, the ability to project certainty often outweighs the value of thoughtful reflection. But why do we, as societies and individuals, fall for this illusion? The answer lies partly in our psychological need for stability. In times of uncertainty and chaos, the human mind seeks refuge in clear, simple narratives. Leaders who offer absolute clarity, even when it is false or oversimplified, provide a comforting anchor. This comfort, however, comes at a steep price. Ethical and intelligent leaders frequently find themselves constrained by their own values. Their caution, honesty, and refusal to manipulate become obstacles in environments where ruthlessness often reigns supreme. Those unwilling to bend rules or distort truth frequently lose ground to those who embrace these tactics without remorse. Research into organizational behavior reveals a troubling trend. Individuals with traits associated with manipulation, charm, and lack of empathy often advance faster and more effectively than their more principled counterparts. Charisma masks their deficiencies and allows them to maintain power while suppressing dissent or critical thought. This dynamic extends beyond individual personalities. Systems themselves can become designed to protect incompetence. Leaders threatened by genuine talent often surround themselves with loyalists who lack the capacity or will to challenge them. This creates a protective shield, ensuring that real expertise and innovation are stifled to maintain control. From corporate boards to political offices, this pattern repeats. Positions of power frequently reward obedience over creativity, flattery over merit. The system doesn't break. It functions exactly as intended, reinforcing its own survival by promoting mediocrity and punishing excellence. Yet, the consequences of this are profound. When power consolidates around illusion rather than substance, societies become vulnerable to crises. The need for simple solutions clashes violently with the complex realities of the world. Leaders who rely on slogans and soundbites fail to address the nuance and depth of the challenges they face. In such climates, ethical restraint becomes a handicap. Those committed to honesty and long-term thinking struggle to compete with those willing to exploit fear, lie, or scapegoat others. Over time, unethical behavior becomes normalized, shifting from exception to expectation. This is not a call to cynicism but to awareness. Understanding these dynamics equips us with the tools to resist being manipulated by appearances. It reminds us that genuine leadership requires more than confidence. It demands integrity, humility, and a commitment to truth, even when it is unpopular. On a personal level, this means cultivating discernment. We must learn to look beyond the loudest voices, to question easy answers, and to value complexity over simplicity. In a world designed to reward reaction, developing patience and reflection becomes a form of resistance. If these insights resonate with you, consider sharing them with others who might find clarity in this perspective. Together, we can foster communities that prize depth over distraction and courage over conformity. Power may favor noise and illusion, but history and experience show that such dominance is often fleeting. True insight and integrity, though marginalized in the moment, have a lasting strength and endurance built not on applause, but on the quiet courage to speak and act honestly. As you navigate your own life and the systems around you, remember this: real power is not simply the ability to command others, but the strength to remain true to your values in the face of pressure. In a world that often rewards the opposite, that is a rare and formidable kind of leadership. Stay curious, stay discerning, and above all, stay mentally strong. Have you ever noticed how often those who appear most certain are the ones who rise fastest? The loudest voices, the ones never doubting, the ones delivering absolute, sweeping claims, these are the individuals who capture our attention, who demand our trust, and often who claim leadership roles. And yet, beneath this veneer of confidence, many lack the substance to back it up. The paradox is glaring. Certainty does not equate to truth, nor does boldness guarantee wisdom. In every society, from small communities to vast nations, this dynamic repeats. It is not a coincidence or a random failure of judgment. It is a structural feature, a mechanism deeply woven into the fabric of how power is acquired and maintained. Those who best exploit the human craving for certainty and simplicity gain advantage. They know that hesitation, complexity, and nuance are weaknesses in the battlefield of influence. This battlefield is not a fair arena for thoughtful deliberation. It is a game of appearances where image frequently outweighs substance. The public and often even institutions are seduced by confidence because it promises certainty in uncertain times. This is why so many leaders seem to thrive on simplifying complex realities into easy narratives, regardless of whether those narratives hold water. True wisdom is burdened by complexity. The wise understand the world's contradictions, acknowledge uncertainty, and resist easy answers. But this very sophistication can make them seem indecisive or even disconnected. People crave clear direction, and when faced with nuance, they often prefer to follow the voice that sounds most sure, even if that voice lacks depth. The psychology behind this is well documented. The Dunning-Kruger effect, for example, shows that people with less competence often lack the awareness to recognize their own limitations. They are, in essence, blind to their ignorance. Conversely, those with deep knowledge understand the vastness of what they don't know, which can foster doubt and hesitation. In leadership, this cognitive bias has grave consequences. Confidence becomes a currency that opens doors. Leaders who exude certainty regardless of actual ability are more likely to be trusted, promoted, and followed. This trust is often misplaced, but it is a deeply ingrained psychological shortcut that humans rely on to navigate complexity quickly. This dynamic is amplified in modern times by the nature of our communication. Media platforms reward certainty because it generates clicks, shares, and engagement. The quick, bold statement travels faster and wider than the measured, nuanced explanation. The algorithm, in effect, punishes caution and rewards bravado. This is not just unfortunate, it fundamentally reshapes how societies perceive authority and knowledge. What, then, becomes of the truly competent? The intellectual, the moral, the cautious thinker? Frequently, they are dismissed or ignored. Their expertise is buried beneath the noise of louder, more confident voices. Their warnings about complexity and uncertainty are cast aside in favor of simplified messages that appeal to immediate emotions. This leads to another troubling pattern: the reinforcement of incompetence through power structures. When individuals who rise through confidence rather than competence attain leadership, they often feel threatened by those who genuinely understand the system or situation better than they do. To protect their position, They surround themselves with allies who lack the skills or will to challenge them. This creates a feedback loop, a fortress of mediocrity designed to shield the leader from critique and competition. This fortress is not accidental. It is a strategic choice. By choosing subordinates who are loyal but less capable, leaders ensure that their authority remains unchallenged. Independent thinking, critical feedback, and innovation are viewed as threats. Over time, this erodes the effectiveness of institutions and organizations. History is full of such examples, from ancient empires to modern corporations and governments. While the context changes, the core dynamic remains. Power protects itself by limiting competence within its circle. This is not the chaos of randomness. It is the order of control. Yet these patterns are rarely acknowledged openly. There is a collective denial or discomfort around admitting that systems reward mediocrity and punish excellence. This denial allows harmful dynamics to persist unchallenged. It is easier to believe in meritocracy and fairness than to confront the uncomfortable truth that power often belongs to the strategically competent, not the genuinely capable. As these patterns unfold, the consequences extend beyond the halls of power and trickle down to society at large. When leadership is built on illusion and manipulation, the policies and decisions made are often short-sighted or harmful. The pursuit of stability through certainty can blind leaders to emerging risks or complex realities. This is where ethics become critical and often sidelined. The most effective leaders, paradoxically, may be those who are willing to set aside moral considerations to maintain their position. Honesty, transparency, and empathy become liabilities in a game that rewards manipulation, deception, and ruthless pragmatism. Modern organizational research confirms this unsettling reality. Traits associated with manipulation and emotional detachment, once seen as pathological, are increasingly recognized as effective tools for climbing hierarchies. Charm and superficial empathy can mask deeper dysfunction, allowing such individuals to thrive while eroding the ethical foundation of their organizations. When unethical behavior becomes a winning strategy, it shifts from aberration to norm. What was once condemned as unacceptable slowly morphs into accepted practice. This normalization creates environments where principled individuals are marginalized or pressured to conform. But this is not a call to despair. Awareness of these mechanisms is the first step toward change. Recognizing how power operates and what it rewards allows individuals and societies to resist these destructive cycles. On a personal level, cultivating critical thinking and emotional resilience is essential. This means questioning the confident voices, demanding evidence over rhetoric, and valuing integrity over spectacle. It means fostering communities where complexity is embraced and honest feedback is encouraged rather than punished. Systems, too, must evolve. Structures that prioritize long-term thinking, accountability, and genuine expertise can counterbalance the tendency to reward mediocrity. Encouraging diversity of thought and protecting whistleblowers are crucial steps in this direction. In the end, power is not an end in itself but a tool. How it is used depends on the character and values of those who wield it. True leadership requires courage not just to command but to act ethically, to listen, and to admit uncertainty. The journey to better systems and better leaders is challenging. It demands vigilance from citizens, courage from those in power, and patience from all. But it is a journey worth taking, for the alternative is a world ruled by illusion and fear. As you reflect on these truths, consider your own role. How do you respond to those who claim authority? What qualities do you value in leadership? And how might you cultivate those qualities within yourself regardless of your position? Remember, the resilience of society depends not only on those at the top but on the integrity and insight of every individual. The courage to speak truth, even when unpopular, and the wisdom to seek complexity, even when simpler answers beckon, are acts of quiet but profound power.